Innsmouth, stranger.
Hi, I'm Rob Whiten from the Innsmouth Book Club. Join me and my fellow guide John Chadwick as we take you on a fortnightly tour of Innsmouth. We visit places such as the Picture House, the Library and Innsmouth Museum to discuss all aspects of weird fiction, whether it be book, film, music, TV or art. As well as that, we stop over at the Gilman House to have a chat with a resident guest. That includes authors, artists, musicians, in fact Lovecraftian creatives of all types. You can find our free shows on Patreon, and there you can also sign up as a patron, which brings you bonus content, plus a monthly PDF copy of Innsmouth News, which features articles, author spotlights, all the latest news and reviews, and more. You can find us at patreon.com/InnsmouthBC. We hope to see you soon, because remember, Innsmouth isn't just a place, it's a state of mind.
You're listening to KZOM, Oleander Public Radio. Welcome to People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos with Dave and DB. I'm just gonna stretch. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again. People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos. I am DB Spitzer, and I will let everyone introduce themselves, all of the co-hosts this week. And to my virtual right, I have David Heath. David.
Hi, my name is David Heath. I am also known as Farmer Dave, and I am here to talk.
All right. And to my virtual left, I have Gretchen. Gretchen.
His other virtual left. I'm Gretchen Brooks, aka Gretchen Martin, G10, or Gretchen is Weird.
All right. Cool, cool. And Gretchen, welcome to the show. This is your first
Thanks.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
as a
taking over
co-host, but not
co-host.
Right.
Show as a guest.
Yeah, it's true. You guys interviewed me in December, I think.
Oh, yeah. But I think I've seen you kicking around the HP Lovecraft Film Festival since at least 2016.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's been, I think 2015 was like the first time I actually went to the festival.
Mhm.
And I think that was the one that had, I want to say it was Jeffrey Combs and Doug Bradley, but it may have been somebody else. It might have been, what's his name? Scott. Oh, I don't remember. But yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a few years.
Yeah, I remember Doug Bradley was definitely there for the Lovecraft preview or the Portland Horror Festival or one of those things. There was a bunch of stuff going on that year.
Yeah, and we had Zompire, and then there was the Cthulhu Con, and that was
Correct.
pretty rad.
Yeah,
Yes.
at the Plaza.
Yeah, that was the first one I attended.
The one at the
very cool.
Crown Plaza?
It was a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
Crown Plaza. Yeah.
I remember I was hanging out with what is it? William Spunkmeyer? Is that what his name is? What's his name? Oh, I can't remember.
William
Pugmire, yes. I was hanging out with him. We were chatting about talking about Boy George in the lobby, just chilling because they were like taking a moment to themselves, and I was like, "Oh, I see your crown."
Very cool. Very
How
cool.
awesome.
All right. So, yeah, today we are going to be talking about all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to be talking about a little guy who walks in the dust and a creepy thing that walks around in other people. So, and Dave's going to be talking about a lot of different monsters from something we talked about the other week. Dave's going to be talking about all the different monsters in Cabin in the Woods.
Oh wow!
And oh man, I just keep talking about that movie to everyone. I had Sarah watch it the other night, and she was like, "Oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be." And I'm like, "Why did you think it was going to be bad?" And you said, "It's got as much blood as Texas Chainsaw Massacre." And I'm like, Yeah, there's like one scene with blood, and she still hasn't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but she assumes it's the worst movie ever made. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's there's some cannibal Holocaust movies that.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Oh, we're talking about different types of worst.
True
Yeah.
story. I watched Cabin in the Woods on my honeymoon.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
But
was it in the woods?
It was at the coast. So I did
Oh.
watch The Fog and Cabin in the Woods.
Okay. Good double feature.
Right? Super romantic.
Nice.
That's
Very
me.
fun.
I'm a
Very
romantic lady.
All right. Well, I'm going to start setting up some stuff here. So you two start talking about the Treader and the Dust while I set up the next reel.
Okay. Oh. So, do you want to say how you pronounce it? Because when I try to say it, it sounds like a sneeze.
KOBRA Uttaus.
Okay, cool.
Because I'm going with Latin on this one. I took 5 years of Latin in school, so I'm hoping that that serves me in some way.
I did Pig Latin in school.
Nice. I gotta tell you, I don't know much about this this creature, this monster, this god.
So I thought that he only appears, to the best of my knowledge, in one short story.
Yeah, that Clark Ashton Smith story, right?
Yes, and I thought I had read it, and I don't think I had, because I went and found it and read it this week. And I think I would have remembered it. I mean, of the unholy trinity, of Lovecraft, Smith, and Robert E. Howard, I'm the least versed in Smith.
Yeah, same.
But I was rather impressed with the story. And it's the story it comes from is The Treader of the Dust. And Smith started out as a poet. And he was actually a really not well known, but well respected in certain circles as a poet. And he decided to give it up to write pulp stories. And his poetic background really comes through in this. When I read it, it struck me as, in fact, I read it and I found a copy, or found someone reading it on YouTube. So I listened to it while I read it.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that was on there.
Yeah, it is. And I would definitely recommend it. And it's very poetic. It's almost a prose poem. In ways, I think he was trying to out Lovecraft. And Lovecraft said that's how Lovecraft and Smith met, is that basically Lovecraft wrote him a fanboy letter and said, "You by far are a better poet than I ever will be." And I think he was right.
Yeah, I don't really consider Lovecraft like one of those. I don't consider him poetic. I mean, some might, but personally.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, I think, that in this, it's like a fusion of Lovecraft and in the cosmic horror of Lovecraft and the gothic horror of Poe.
Really?
Yeah, and by all means, I recommend this. I found a copy online, and I found a recording on YouTube, and it's not that long. It's only like 22 minutes, so it's not that long of a story. And so I did sort of fuse the two, I think, of the styles. And I also realized this is an 83-year-old story, so spoilers, but it basically is this man who studies occult books comes to his house or his cabin, and it's all dirty, and he's all mad because his servant ain't that bright, but at least he cleans the house. And then he has all these occult books out, and he realizes that this dust in the house is basically his servant, that his servant accidentally called forth this QUACHIL UTTAUS, And it's very nihilist. I mean, it's not like pro-nihilist Nietzscheism, but when this creature comes, it dissolves everything, and that the dust is the matter of the beings that it dissolved. So the dust is that's what it's treading, and so it's very dark.
Yeah, one of the things I read about it was that it like summoning it is basically like if you're planning on committing suicide, this is the god to summon.
Exactly. And maybe that's maybe I got that it was maybe an accident that the servant didn't know what he was dealing with, but this guy's thought patterns start getting darker and edgier. So it's a great story. It's a dark story. Might be some trigger warnings on it. I mean, it's still 40, so it's not like deep nihilism. And as far as I know, he only appears in that one story.
Yeah, that's everything that I've looked up about him. That's all that that's all that it shows is that particular story.
Yeah.
It's also kind of, I mean, it's not exactly the same as like The Thing, but like how the story of The Thing has that nihilistic kind of like dark nature. It kind of feels like they kind of run parallels.
Exactly. I completely agree with you on that.
So good pairing there, DB.
Thank you.
DB is our 5D chess master.
Well, something I wanted to say is that QU, as I'm going to call this being, Dust Baby, if you're nasty, is also found in the Chaosium RPG, of course, tabletop RPG.
Totally.
And there is at least one thing that I remember, and it has to do with like a bridge that's struck by lightning and there's a body held in it, but it may not have anything to do with it, but it makes me think of that. And I've used Dust Baby as kind of like, if someone says, don't go looking in there, you're not going to find anything but pain and suffering, and, give them the old Bene Gesserit witch talk. And, they keep doing it. They're going to find something that's going to undo them. But that's more or less if like a party just goes book crazy and doesn't actually want to poke around or mess around and find out, or accidentally stumble across a Shoggoth or anything. And it's just like, you can't just do all research. You can't all just be librarians. Well, gotta thin out the herd. Let's pull out the treader and dust.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no. There is quite a bit of a nihilistic view with QU there, and it does kind of mix with The Thing. And something that I also wanted to bring up, we won't be talking about it with The Thing, since it's not actually The Thing, but something that this story reminds me of, that also reminds me of The Thing, is something that I thought The Thing was based off of. Come to find out, not at all. It's just another story, and another story is Ambrose Bierce's The Damned Thing.
Which is one of my favorite stories.
Okay, all right. It's about people, a guy, a coroner coming to check out this camp where everyone's like, just these working people that are like really kind of like, just they're not wasted, like they're trashed and drunk and stuff. Some of them might be, but they've just been worked hard and everything like that. There's a journal of a guy that the coroner is looking at, and he keeps talking about something that is unseeable that he keeps hunting, and it is this nihilistic, awful view of what's going on, and like forgetting everything about. It's almost like somewhere between Who Goes There and Moby Dick, in my opinion.
Oh, wild.
It's a fun one, And I even believe they did a Master of Horror with The Damned Thing, but that's an Ambrose Bierce story. And I just wanted to get that out there before commercial breaks and all that kind of fun stuff. One thing we're not going to be talking about in the next part is invisible monsters, because they're kind of hard to show on film, but maybe there's some missed monsters in there. We'll find out. Speaking of monsters, did you know that you could 3D print your own monsters with AnyCubic? AnyCubic. I just picked up a KOBRA Go, which is one that you have to put together yourself. I spent a little extra money for a magnetic bed, printing stuff out, easy as can be. I watched about 2 videos on YouTube, double checked that they were both doing the same thing, and we got it going. We're printing up our own Call of Cthulhu figurines. We're making barrettes. We're making all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah. You can get a pretty good deal on some of the filament that you use for 3D printing. AnyCubic, follow the code in the links if you want to find out more. And, all right, here's Dave.
Prepare for a spine-tingling, nerve-shattering podcast featuring all your favorite monsters. You won't believe your ears when you listen to Monster Kid Radio. Hear your host, Derek M. Cook, and his ever-rotating stable of guests discuss your favorite classics and sometimes not-so-classic monster movies. Subscribe to Monster Kid Radio through iTunes or Stitcher, or visit monsterkidradio.net before the next weekly episode of Monster Kid Radio. Go through the archives for interviews with Sarah Karloff, Victoria Price, and Joel Hodgson. Listen to discussions about movies like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Island of Terror, and King Kong. And don't forget convention coverage from Monster Bash and the HP Lovecraft Film Festival, Classic Monsters, Modern Talk, and the head of Rondo Hatton, only on Monster Kid Radio.
I want to tell you all about something. I want to tell you about a guy I know in a place. This is Dave's Corner of the Podcast. It is awesome. It's gonna go fast. It's not the interview pod. Ha ha. Ha ha. It's not the part where DB talks forever, ever, ever. No, it's Dave's Corner of the Podcast. Dave's Corner of the Podcast. Dave, everyone.
Hey everybody, it's just me, Farmer Dave. Everybody else is gone, and so because of everything going on, I didn't really have an interview, but I really wanted to talk about something that I normally talk about when I'm just with, one person or a small group. So this is just going to be a standard sort of conversation between you and me, except for the fact that it's probably talking on your phone or your computer, and you can pretend to talk to me, but I can't hear you. So let's talk about what I always talk about with people. Monsters. And we're going to talk about the monsters in the movie that DB and I talked about last week, which is Cabin in the Woods. Now, I'm not sure that you think of this movie as a monster movie, and maybe it's not, I don't know, but it is jam-packed full of monsters at the end. And we see this where, and again, if you haven't seen the movie, it's been out like 12 years now. At the end, basically all the monsters at the underground government containment center basically escape. It's this huge super monster jailbreak. And if you have not seen the movie, almost surely you've seen the meme where, he's standing in front of the whiteboard with all the monsters that are names written as they take bets on which monster is going to be released to destroy the unsuspecting college students to complete the ritual to stop the great old ones from coming. A lot of these monsters are really just set dressing, but some of them are so much more. And they're all this loving tribute, and they're all fun. I believe I said last week, that if someone took a list of these monsters, and they're out there, if you could go ahead and look on them online, they would make a great sort of monster codex for a modern role-playing game. So I think pretty much all of us know that Cabin in the Woods was created, produced, the brainchild of Joss Whedon. And Joss Whedon, of course, created Firefly. And one of the more interesting parts of Firefly, I think, are the Reavers, which we find out are basically these cannibalistic mutant space dwellers that were basically poisoned by the government in an attempt to try to pacify a planet's population, and it went completely wrong and made them these berserk cannibalistic monsters. Well, you guessed it, the Reavers are there in their full glory. And again, if you own both properties, why not? Now, if this was by anyone else but Joss, I would say, they're just sort of mutant cannibals. But because this is a Whedon project, he uses the same looks and the makeup, and he deliberately put them there because, again, he's friggin' Joss Whedon, and he does what he wants. So, for just a moment, in one of the cubes, and I'm told, and I haven't seen it myself, it goes in a little bit more details in the behind-the-scene footage on the DVD. We see the big squid himself. Yes, Cthulhu. Now, I've seen pictures of him. The ones I've seen were basically on the green screen. And he, good job. He looks like Cthulhu, minus the wings. And, well, maybe the secret governmental agency removed these wings because they're going to take up a lot of space. I would love to have seen him more during the Purge scene. I would have loved to have seen him grow. Speaking of growing, the one that really caught my attention, because you really almost have to sit there with a remote and, slow things down and freeze frame. But the one that really caught my attention when I first saw this was the giant 50-foot woman, because she's a giant 50-foot woman. And, I thought that was, first of all, hilarious because, you've got the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman from the 50s movie, but, you've got this sort of trope of 50-foot anything. And here we go with the, the beginning, the origin, the holy grail and gold standard of 50-foot mutant creatures. And the fact that she is so large and she has to basically bend over inside the cube. First of all, it's hilarious, but it's definitely a very visually stunning scene. Okay, stunning might not, but it catches your attention. Over all these mutants and reavers and monsters, she's noticeable. She catches one's eye, as one does when one is a 50-foot cannibalistic giant woman in a bikini stuck in a small cube by a government organization. Now, I didn't realize that there was actually a novelization to this, which goes into a lot more details. Or I didn't realize until I was researching this that there was a novelization. It goes into a lot more details, describes a lot more of monsters and creatures that just didn't make it into the cut of the movie. And one of these beings is referred to as, and I love this name, the Exploding Shard Baby, which is kind of like the mutant. Maybe it's a deformed mutant human, maybe it's an alien, but it explodes. I think it explodes at least, and it eats people in it. And when Dana and Marty are trying to escape, they see one munching on a female employee. Again, didn't make it in the movie, but I would love to have seen that. Another creature that did not make it into the movie is man with steaming pipes coming out of his chest. And how can I describe him? He's a man with steaming pipes coming out of his chest and flaming fiery eyes. Apparently he's in a decent chapter or a good portion of the book, and I don't know what he's based on, but it sounds like an urban legend to me. But again, great concept for a monster. Would have loved to have seen him in the movie, especially if he gets, a fair amount of time. So just like I didn't know that there was a book, a novelization, there also was a Universal Studios, which I love. I don't know which one though. Attraction. I'm guessing that it was Florida or maybe California after I moved back or moved away, and before they switched the haunted house over to a Walking Dead when I came back and visited right before pre-COVID. But there is a character whose name is the Vicious Man, and he's got like body armor and dreadlocks, and he's basically a maniacal murderer, as one is, and it's never really clear, is he a psychopath, or is he maybe another form of the Reavers? And guess what else was at the Universal attraction? Something that we are scheduled to talk about today. The Thing. And The Thing doesn't appear in the movie. It doesn't appear in the books as far as I know. The reason why I would assume that it appeared in the attraction at the Universal Studios is Universal Studio owns the right. But it was, as far as I know, it was, I don't think it was a person dressed up in a costume. It was animatronic, maybe puppeted by a real human being. But if so, that would be the French kiss. Oh, wait, no. French chef's kiss? Chef's kiss. Yeah, chef's kiss. That's what they call it. Of the ride, I guess. I'm assuming this is much like, say, other horror presentations by Universal, where it was more of a walkthrough than anything else. And in my mind canon, it was there chasing Marty and Dana. We just didn't see it, or if we saw it, it took another form. Okay, how about this? Maybe the Vicious Man is the Thing. Or maybe that man with steam pipes coming out of his chest is the Thing. People's Guide to Cthulhu Mythos has requested that I state that please do not send your therapy bills to us, because I just scared the bejesus out of you with that thought, because it scares me. Most of you listeners, or if you listen for a while, know that I'm not a video gamer, because I make the people walk into walls. But there's a couple of monsters that are, at least in some of the guides, books, that are based on the Left 4 Dead. And again, or Left 4 Dead video game. And again, a lot of that kind of blurs with Reavers and mutants, and that there's a difference between inbred, homicidal, mountain mutants and zombie mutants. But it's science. But a lot of different mutants and zombies fill up the underground base there. So some more creepy creatures there, creepypastas, are the dolls. And when I first heard that there were dolls there, I was thinking, deadly Barbies and, Annabelle. But the dolls are kind of like a family. It's got like this white doll face mask. And I think the facility people bet on them. So someone had bet on them. And they're seen during the purge scene, burning people alive and going through the cameras. And to me, my research, I didn't see this written down, but I think that it's inspired by the creepy attackers in the movie The Strangers. In The Strangers, you never see their face, at least in the original movie. They have these masks, and one of them is referred to, as Dollface. And the dolls are humanoid. They seem to be a family, or at least close related friends. They've got that white porcelain eerie mask. Maybe a mom and pop, and a punk son and a gothic daughter, all wearing black clothing with that pure white porcelain mask. And who knows, maybe under there we've got more Reavers. Maybe they're all Reavers. Attack of the 50-foot Reaver. Now that's scary. So one of the monsters, and the one I think I remember the most, is the unicorn, which, think of it as a mystical, magical creature, but not necessarily a monster. And if it was, you think it'd be some sort of mutated version or perversion, like, the mermaid that was more like this hominoid swamp, sea monster. But no, this is a pretty much standard white unicorn, and it goes around killing people during the purge. And I think, again, they added it because it was funny, if not fun. But I like how it twisted our expectations. The unicorn's supposed to be the rescuer, the hero, the protector, especially even though, we know she's not. Dana's representative of the Virgin. And maybe that's why they work so hard not to get someone who can look the part of the Virgin to represent the Virgin and the final girl, and not actually be one in an attempt to... The unicorn would not attempt to save her. Well, and the engineering department actually bets on the unicorn. So I mentioned last week that one of my favorite female character actors, and Josh Whedon favorite, is Amy Acker. And Amy Acker plays Wendy Lynn and in the movie. And so I kind of want to go out on how she died. And she gets pulled through the ceiling by the Kraken. And here's an interesting, that one time we do see, I kind of checked on this, that we do see the Cthulhu is with the Kraken's first appearance, with the scarecrows. Now, I'm kind of wondering, around that time, before that, of course, Pirates of the Caribbean was really big. And, there's Kraken there, and then there's Davy Jones. So I'm wondering if maybe putting the Kraken and Cthulhu together was a Pirates reference. Or maybe, it just makes sense to put tentacle monsters together, or sea-based tentacle monsters. Maybe, the Kraken is controlled by the Cthulhuid. Or maybe it's not a Kraken. Maybe it's, and here, are you ready for your deep cut? It's Cthulhu, the daughter of Cthulhu, created in, Brian Lumley, but in, I believe it's Tina Jens, in his daughter's dark womb, is kind of where she shines. So, who knows? That's one of the fun things about this movie. If you bring in a lot of knowledge, or at least interest and curiosity and inspiration about horror movies, you can pretty much see a lot of things. And I think that's purpose. Even if it's not what the directors and the creators intended, they created it, they intended it to be this kind of open-end, dark mirror for you to see things in that maybe even they didn't see. That's the beauty of horror. That's the beauty of this movie. Okay, let's get the group back together and let's talk some things as a group. See you then.
This is a breakneck pace. I'm like, what are we doing next?
Welcome to the show.
Dave and DB go to the movies. Dave and DB go. Movies. Dave and DB go to the movies. Dave and DB go. Hey everyone, it's me, DB. We are back once again. Thank you for listening. And right now, we're going to talk about some movies. It's Dave and Gretchen go to the movies, and DP interjects. So let's the theme writing the theme song for that's going to be interesting. So we're talking about The Thing, and we're also talking about The Thing from Outer Space. But we're also talking about who goes there. So, Dave, I want to call you our Thing expert.
Oh, well, are you?
I am. I will be. I have a PhD in Thingology.
Yeah, wow.
So, of course, Who Goes There was actually also published as a short story, and it was published as Who Goes There, but also it was published at least at one time as The Thing from Another World.
Okay.
And that is John Campbell. And John Campbell was a very interesting person in a lot of ways, not always good ways, but he was an engineer. And so when he became I believe it was Astounding Stories, he became their chief editor. He says, we're going to be taken seriously. We're going to not make stupid spelling mistakes. We're not going to publish things with stupid grammar mistakes. We're going to be professionals. And this was he published it under another name, I think Dan Sharp, with another magazine. But that was kind of his attempt to make science fiction and pulp legitimate.
Wow, that's like Archie going Christian or the owner of Hustler becoming Christian. I mean, that's like, oh, okay, maybe not necessarily, but I don't know. It's just like, wait a minute. Professionalize a pretty much what's been a more or less a fan science fiction magazine. That's anyway. I'm sorry, Dave.
No, that's okay. And so, in the original version, I reread the original version. I have a theory. Are you ready for my theory?
Go for it.
No one else has ever had this theory, I think. Well, probably lots of people, but I didn't come across it. But the main character is McCready, right? Who's played by Kurt Russell or Kerry Russell. I get those two confused.
Kurt Russell.
Thank you. But in the book, he is the number 2 in the base. He is the he's the meteorologist, and he's this big giant guy, and he's a scientist, and he's everything good about America.
Oh, sure.
Because remember, the book is written pre-Vietnam, pre-World War II even, or the short story is.
Yeah.
And the movie is post-Vietnam, so they're going to have different views of the government.
All right.
But the one word that Campbell uses to describe McCready the most is bronze. He either describes bronze. So how's this guy in Antarctica got this nice tan? And 7 times he either describes McCready or McCready's beard as bronze.
Huh.
So
maybe he was a ginger.
Yes, but my thought is bronze. We think of a scientist, the man of bronze, Doc Savage.
Yeah, I keep thinking Doc Savage. It's like he goes from being Doc Savage to like Hawkeye, or and I don't mean from the Avengers. I mean from MASH.
And so I think that I don't think he quite ripped it off, but I think that McCready originally was a Doc Savage tribute.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
So that's what I wanted to bring out about. Other than that, then originally he did want to have it. He did write it wanted to write it as a full-length novel.
Okay.
and it was going to be called Frozen Hell. And
Oh.
of all people, I think it was John Carpenter's son who found the original transcript in his dad's stuff, and
Uh-huh.
it was published about 3 or 4 years ago. Finally,
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna say
wow.
I did see that it got republished as like the fuller length version.
yeah.
I like to imagine that John Carpenter was telling his son to either go get my copy of Resident Evil 2, the remaster, or like go grab some rolling papers. And his son like opened up a drawer in the kitchen and like found this manuscript.
Right.
Okay.
Or have some chewing gum, knowing John Carpenter. I mean,
Yeah.
when I saw him in concert, he was like, that guy was chewing so much Nicorette. It was funny.
Oh, yeah. Well, the guy chain smokes.
Totally. I think he quit smoking, but
Okay.
yes. But still, like, yeah.
He used to chain smoke.
Him doing like double peace signs, wearing sunglasses, like chewing on some Nicorette. That's what I like took away from that concert.
Yeah, John Carpenter, I think is incredible as just like as a creator in general.
Oh, he's a phenom.
There's some stuff that it's like didn't really quite hit at the time, but it's like I don't know. Ghosts of Mars still, I mean, if you watch it now, it's like you can see what he was doing, and it's like it wasn't critically acclaimed, and it wasn't like the best movie of 1990, whatever, but
yeah,
it's like it's still great, and it's I don't know. There's other stuff that I just think is amazing that he's done, and it's like the goofy stuff with Kurt Russell is like one stuff, but you also have like the other stuff, the more horror based stuff that I just think is like The Thing, that it's they use practical effects, and the films that use the optical practical effects have kind of stood the test of time that he's done. But the stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s that he did, I don't feel quite as fond about, maybe except for Ghost of Mars. But John Carpenter, almost always a great watch, in my opinion.
He's definitely a talent. He's definitely a talent.
Yeah, no. There's I remember as a kid, The Thing being like something that kids would be like, oh wow, have you seen The Thing yet? Yeah, we watched it last night. We were eating lasagna, and my mom's like, all right, I'm turning off the TV. And like stories like that, and be like, oh, have you seen The Thing yet? And it's like, no. And it's like, I remember The Thing and The Shining were the things to have seen in like 83 as like, oh, The Thing was on cable. No, The Thing was on HBO all summer long. And yeah, no, but it was one of those things that it was like kind of like, oh, have you seen it yet? But yeah.
Absolutely. And so I have a Thing trivia.
Okay.
So it's basically about a bunch of dudes in a base in South and our South Pole and Antarctica.
Sure.
There is a female uncredited actress in the movie. Do you know where she is and who she is?
Is she The Thing?
No.
Okay.
Not the dogs either.
Is she on the is she one of the, like, hang on, I was gonna say one of the suites?
No.
The
chess computer.
Oh.
And do you know who it is?
No.
Carpenter's wife at the time, Adrienne Barbeau.
Oh, how funny.
She's awesome.
Yeah. Okay,
awesome.
That's my trivia.
Yeah, there is that computer and kind of that little scene recreated in Fallout 4 in kind of like the first part of the game, like the tutorial part. You can actually take a video game out of the computer, but it's not chess. It's anyway, but yeah.
And that shows just how iconic that scene has become.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. I know that there was a Thing video game. I never played it, just like I never played the Warriors video game, but I know there was something that came out on the PS2 or PS3 at least for the Thing a number of years ago.
Also, Dark Horse took and ran with it and did quite a couple of graphic novels.
Really?
Yeah,
Mm.
in which it titled under it. It will takes over from McCready's story, where he's, I mean, it's not in canon, but he's rescued, and that's where Dark Horse's stores the Thing from Another World. They came out about the same time, and so I think there's 3 or 4 of them. And they're very good 80s Dark Horse science fiction comic books.
Okay. I do like 80s Dark Horse science fiction comic books. I'm really surprised Dark Horse, with the properties that they have access to, didn't decide to do, well, what about The Thing versus Predator? What about The Thing versus Terminator? What about The Thing?
I'm so glad they didn't.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's just like, it's such a really cool tale, because like when we were talking about nihilism, it immediately locked into my brain, because it's that ending where the two of them are sitting there smoking and trying to decide who's human, and not knowing, and then also this looming threat that this is the end of everything. I mean, it is part of his Apocalypse trilogy. I mean, it's the Thing, In the Mouth of Madness, and the Prince of Darkness.
I love that.
I want to say, and like sub to that is They Live. Those are all part of the Apocalypse trilogy.
Oh yeah, and those are all amazing, amazing movies. Some of my favorite horror movies of all time. But yeah, no. Beside the final scene, which is not only captivating, nihilistic, well shot, any other scenes that you all find just kind of like
a million, right?
Favorite
like
scenes from the movie?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if this was a family-friendly show.
It is, but families cuss.
But there's that scene that like where they're testing the blood, and he's like, "My spent all goddamn more tied to this couch." Like, it is like, that is such a tense moment. Like, you get stressed watching everybody look back at each other as he tests the blood samples, and you're like, who could it be? Who could possibly is carrying this monster?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And are they aware that they're carrying the monsters?
Right. That's what I want to know, is how long are they sentient before this happens?
No, that's something I remember thinking of as a kid, is like, oh man, do they even know? Like, do the dogs know? Like, the dogs know, but do the dogs know?
Right. I mean, they sense that when that dog comes into the pit, into the dog kennel with the other dogs, and they all are like, oh no, not this one. No.
Yeah, but did that dog know? Or was that dog just like, I'm just doing dog stuff. Get me away from these crazies.
Yeah, this guy's trying to shoot me.
Yeah. And it's like, what point in time did that dog no longer stop being the dog and start being like, I need to feed and reproduce by becoming other stuff? But yeah.
And is the Thing, like, is it sentient in that respect, or is it just an amoeba that is just trying to reproduce and create more?
Yeah. Is it some sort of like semi-sentient cancer that's just going to like destroy the host and keep moving no matter what?
And that, I think, is a very sort of Lovecraftian.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to me, like, that's immediately when I go to think of like Lovecraftian films, like The Thing is one of the top ones, because it has all the cosmic horror elements.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Yeah. No. I feel like it's like there's movies like Alien and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I feel are like, those movies are very Lovecraftian in a very specific way. But it's like The Thing is this step beyond, and it's not just because it's filmed in like Antarctica. It's like just like John Carpenter's At the Mouth of Madness. It has nothing to do with the Lovecraft like illusions that it's making, and it's like you don't see elder things. It's not a Shoggoth.
Yeah.
It's something small that came from somewhere else. It's something human sized, and it's just gonna keep changing until it gets somewhere else.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it plays on the isolation so well.
Oh, certainly.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
dread.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, and that's like isolation that you can find in anything from like various, I want to say, Algernon Blackwood stories. There's Ambrose Bierce, of course. There's like a lot of these like older stories, like Algernon Blackwood's The Willows. There's HP Lovecraft stories
In the Mountain
like,
of Madness. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like that immediately calls to memory, like because we're walking into an Antarctic, wasteland, that all feels, and that being separated, being like you were saying, isolated,
Yeah.
is all very Lovecraft. I mean, that's his like stick, right?
Yeah. And also this, not only who is human, but who do you trust?
Sure.
Don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
That's
And
what Lovecraft would say.
oh, totally. To hop back at aliens, it's like, what if you have someone in your crew who doesn't care about the other people, just wants to contain the other? It's like, thankfully, I don't think we had anyone in the thing trying to like make friends with it or kiss it
no.
or capture it and take it back to federal holdings or anything like that in this one. But yeah.
But that is a major component of The Thing from Another World,
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
where the scientist basically
This is true.
freaks out at the end.
The
and
vegetables.
tries- and James Arness strangles him.
I always thought that I rewatched the 1951 one just because we were doing this podcast. I had to laugh because it was so many moments of like, they're like, this has an intelligence unknown of any sort, and yet it's like using a big stick and going, ah.
Yeah,
And then when they called it a carrot, I just died. I cannot.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that though, and for its time, it was a great movie, and it was a very, as far as I know, so Carpenter's thing, it didn't make money at the time. It didn't make money. In fact,
It was a
of
flop.
all of his movies that bombed, he took that one, I understand, the hardest.
Yeah.
But
Stan Winston didn't even wouldn't even credit his stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like, what?
But The Thing from Another World, that was, at least where I grew up, without cable TV, that was a staple to the Saturday afternoon movies. And so Carpenter had those. I'm sure he saw it, and not this let's try to befriend and welcome our carrot overlords plot. I think a choice not to do it.
Definitely.
Welcome our carrot overlords into.
But as we all know, John Carpenter has a fair amount of love for Lovecraft, and a lot of his contemporaries, and he welcomed his pulp overlords.
But I think you're right, especially the fact that it's practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's why it is a classic, why it's endured the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so textural. It feels like something that you would see, and it has like such like visceralness to it.
Yeah. No. There's like scenes in that I remember as a kid that made me feel as gross as when Han Solo slices open the Tauntaun. and the blue guts come out. I remember being like really upset about that as a kid, and being really upset about like stuff. I mean, I was a sensitive kid, but being really upset about like how the thing like really messed up its host and stuff. But it's like
I
no
thought,
way they were going to be okay after that.
no, like Copper, like Dr. Copper, like he's like going to shock what's his name's character, and as he goes in and like the mouth opens on his chest and like consumes his arms. Nope, there's no coming back. Yeah,
No,
immediate like
back from
infection. Nobody's
anyone.
going to be okay in the room.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, and that, I think that's the scene that gets me the most. And my understanding is that they actually got an amputee.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, really? They use a stand-in for was it Richard Dysart? Is that what that actor's name is?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes, but that's my understanding of the close-ups, that they got an amputee just to make it so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and Norris is the character. I could not remember the name. Norris is getting CPR, or like he's trying to shock his chest.
Yeah. Defibrillate.
Thank you. Those things.
No problem. But yeah, no, that's like, as a kid, I remember being terrified by that scene and then watching it later and being like, that is a really cool scene. Whoever did the special effects? Who did the special effects? I didn't know till later, but no, that was just like an amazing scene, and the head running off later. It's it's just one of those kind of like horror scenes that it's like just kind of sticks with you.
Absolutely. It's like the stuff that nightmares are made of, for sure.
Oh,
that scene and the scene where he's standing in the snow going, "Whoa!" Like, that is so terrifying.
Oh, yeah. No. I remember also the first time you see like the dogs thing, and it's like, oh, this is not good. No, the thing, the music in it, it's very minimalistic. It's could be done with just a bass guitar in some parts, just plucking one string.
Absolutely.
But it's also just very effective, and it really gives you a feeling of isolation, and really kind of just calls to kind of like this like open kind of like sonar kind of, it's in the modern age, but you're all alone kind of feeling. But yeah, no, The Thing, it's amazing. Anyone else have anything else to say about The Thing?
I think we pretty much covered it, unless, Gretchen, do you have anything?
Nope. I mean, we talked a lot about all the Cthulhu aspects of it, or the Lovecraftian aspects. I want to make everything Cthulhu right now.
Do you know how old Walter Brimley was?
He was not very old, you guys.
He was 35 when this was made.
You know, I think something really dumb I noticed when I saw it on the big screen that I didn't ever notice on the VHS or on cable is the nose ring. That the character, the psychiatrist, he has a nose ring.
Oh yeah.
or Copper, yeah, Copper has a nose ring, and I thought, oh my gosh, 1982, a big like gold hoop nose ring was so like out of place.
Yeah, but you could do whatever you want in Antarctica, man.
Yeah, man. I think he's kind of a hippie.
No, Walter Brimley was, I think, 45. Or Wilford
Brimley.
Wilford Brimley was 45, and like by the time Cocoon came out, he was 50.
That makes me so sad, because like, I mean, as I broach my late 40s.
Yeah, we look good for our 40s. That's all I'm saying.
We're doing pretty good.
You know how Wilford Brimley became an actor?
Was it the, not Father Dowling Mysteries? It was like, wasn't he like a Squeeze the Sherman guy?
No. He was a horse farmer in Utah.
What?
And somebody bought one of it. He had really expensive horses, and someone bought one of the horses, so he delivered it to Los Angeles, and there was an ad for a part for China syndrome.
Oh,
And
wow.
he said, "Oh, well, I am in Los Angeles. I've always wanted to be an actor. I'll go apply."
I'm 25. I can play 47.
Jesus.
We farmers age quickly.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you again so much for listening to People's Guide to the Cthulhu Mythos. It's Gretchen, it's been great to have you on your
Thanks.
first episode here. It's super awesome to have you.
I
on
am so
the
excited.
show. Yeah.
I have lots of Lovecraftian things to talk about over the year.
Yeah. All right. And Dave, what do we have coming up next? Do you have any idea?
Yes, in about 2 weeks, we are going to have baby goats.
Baby goats.
What?
Yes. So maybe we'll have a baby goat as a guest. So I'm not sure in fact, I was going to ask you, what are we talking
Oh, okay.
about?
Okay. All right.
besides
All
Ken
right. So up next, episode, Revelations of GLAAKI, Ken Height, and Night of the Living Dead.
Hmm.
And after that, I don't know who we have as the guest, but we have RHAN-TEGOTH and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the OG. And that's also the OG on Night of the Living Dead. So, yeah.
Right
and
on.
after RHAN-TEGOTH, we've got Ralye and the Evil Dead. Ooh.
Ooh, nice. I just saw a panel at that convention we were all at with him talking about the Evil Dead stuff coming up.
Oh, nice.
With Bruce
Very
Campbell.
Cool. Bruce
Yeah.
Campbell. Yeah. Super duper cool. All right. Well, we'll talk about that more next time. And everyone, have yourself a cool one. And stay squiggly, keep it weird, and we will talk to you all next time.